Hello, everybody. I'm Phil Brandt, President and CEO of AIM Employers Association, and welcome to This Week at Work.
This Week at Work is the only show about the workplace that offers you front row seats and a microphone, featuring experts in human resources and employment law to bring you practical, timely, and accurate insights so you can more effectively lead your organization. It's Thursday, May 30th, episode 281. Today, unlocking your team's full potential starts with recognizing the unique strengths each member brings to the table. Heath Luehmann, a leadership coach and senior training consultant with AIM, shares his expertise in human growth and development, which brings lasting change to individuals and organizations. Now, this isn't about memorizing personality profiles. It's about utilizing your human resources in a way where everyone thrives and contributes to the organization's success. Join us as Heath uncovers the genius of building a team that loves what they do. All this and more on This Week at Work.
All right, welcome back. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's a little bit of a sluggish week coming off of the holiday. I hope everyone had a great holiday break. Bert, welcome back. How was your holiday, Bert? Anything fun? Enjoy your time?
Phil, I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. I'm having trouble hearing you over the sound of all the cicadas out there in St. Louis.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they are everywhere. It's like being dive bombed when you go outside here.
Estimated 60 billion cicadas are out there in St. Louis right now.
I think they're all in my yard. I don't know about you, but I have at least half of them in my yard.
Well, I don't know how big your property is, Phil, but according to our St. Louis Science Center, there's about 1.5 million cicadas per acre.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Holy moly. That is, I must be close to that. I can tell you that. It just is insane. I never remember this many cicadas. I know, in my lifetime, I'm old enough to have experienced this several times by now. I've never remember them being this plentiful.
Yes.
But let me say good morning to Heath. Good morning, Heath. How are you today? Heath is one of our senior trainers and coaches here at AIM. In fact, he's got a program going on today for us for Leadership for Leads, I think it is. But Bert, say good morning to Heath.
Good morning, Heath. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to be with you guys.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, Heath. And we're going to talk a little bit about understanding the genius of your team. That's one of the programs that Heath ran for us at our leadership conference and got absolutely glowing remarks from. So we thought we'd bring him on the program and understand a little bit more about that topic and what it really does cover. But before we do that, let's get on to our poll questions and get to Lawyer on the Clock, one of the favorite segments of the program. Bert, people do like what you have to say.
I don't know if they like it. I don't know if they like it, Phil, but they're here for it.
Well, they are here for it. They find it informative for sure. All right, the poll questions are, what stage of work gets you most excited? Well, for me, and Nick, you didn't put this on the list, it's the end of the day. But that's not one of the options, but that's the part.
You share that with others, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the end of the day gets me most excited. All right, the second question is, in one word, here we got the word cloud, my favorite. In one word, describe the feeling you get when you're asked to explain what you do for a living. Bert, that's a great question. When you get asked what you do for a living, I just imagine you go and you pucker up and you're like, I'm a lawyer.
That's two words, Phil.
I absolutely hate when someone asks me what I do for a living. I never say I'm, a CEO or anything like that. I just say I work in the human resource profession. I help business leaders of all types do different things. And they want to explain more because I didn't explain enough, but it's just not a question I'm comfortable with. How about you, Heath? Do you like it when people ask you what you do for a living?
Oh yeah, help change lives.
Help. Oh, I like that one. That's maybe I should use that one.
You guys have to boil it down to one word.
Yeah, it's going to have to be.
There's a hyphen in there.
All right. Somebody might say Phil does nothing. All right. And then the third question is, what what of the items listed below is most important for holding an effective meeting? Clear objectives, the right participants, effective facilitation, action items, follow-up, atmosphere, technology, and tools. So those are our 3 poll questions for today, and we look forward to getting back to those in a little bit. Bert, are you ready for Lawyer on the Clock?
I'm ready for Lawyer on the Clock. Nick, let's roll it.
Pull that lever.
All right, it's time to look into what's trending in employment law. Lawyer, you're on the clock.
So for today's first topic, Phil, this one falls into the category of this is not a surprise at all. But last week on May 22nd, more than a dozen business groups and another company filed a lawsuit seeking to block the Department of Labor's new final rule that significantly raises the minimum salary threshold under the Fair Labor Standards Act white collar overtime exemption, and also requires employers to provide salary increases to millions of exempt workers across the country or reclassify them so they are eligible for overtime. So we've talked about this pretty extensively on the program, that the DOL passed its final rule in just last month. That the exemption under the Fair Labor Standards Act is going up to $844 per week, or the equivalent of $43,888 per year. This takes effect just over a month from now on July 1, 2024. And then it increases again on January 1, 2025 to $1,128 per week, or the equivalent of $58,656. And then there's an annual update that's tied to the 35th percentile of salary in the lowest wage census region, which would be the South, an automatic update thereafter. This is raising the exemption threshold from the current roughly $640 or so per week. Right now, the exact number escapes me right now, but it is a pretty dramatic increase. So these business groups have sued to stop this rule. And so it kind of looks like deja vu all over again with this, as somebody once said, I think Yogi Berra. And this challenge to the rule comes after a U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Texas in 2017 permanently enjoined a 2016 DOL rule that had sought to raise the overtime exemption. This case, of course, has been filed in that same court. And so people are expecting the same results. I think for right now, people really do need to continue to focus on complying with this new rule by July 1, 2024. It will not surprise me. It will not surprise me if the July 1, 2024 increase goes into effect. And then sometime between July and January 1 of 2025, that this court will sort out the second increase there. So there is a possibility. I think people do need to plan for that July 1, 2024 increase. That could get enjoined, but I think there's also an equal possibility that that increase does go into effect, and then the bigger fight will be over that next increase down the road.
So, Bert, I think if I can summarize this, what I've heard is stay the course, prepare for July 1. Any idea how quick a decision on this gets made?
Yeah, that's a significant issue, Phil, that they have sought immediate review by way of an expedited review. And that's what will be interesting to see if the court allows for an expedited review here. And so we'll have to see what happens. Again, as of now, continue prepping for this July 1 change to increase the minimum salary for executive, administrative, and professional exemption to $844 per week.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I've been working with a lot of employers on this, and we had a roundtable the other day, and one of the employers was just talking about the impact this is having. And it's More so, I think the second increase than it is the first increase that's causing, more heartburn. But in either case, some businesses, particularly in some of the not-for-profit businesses, and how people are paid and, the mission behind the not-for-profit, it's really raising a lot of havoc. So we will use this as a teaser and say, come back next week for an update.
Yep, and that current salary threshold just struck me again is 684 per week. So it's moving from 684 per week under this first move up to 844 per week, and then that next move on January 1 would be up to 1,128. So literally almost doubling where they are right now.
Yeah, it's quite a jump. All right, that's good news, Bert. What else do we have on the docket?
All right, so the next one is we also are aware, because we've talked about it on the program many, many times, that the Department of Labor in the last many months has issued its final rules on independent contractor classification. And there is a lawsuit again. Phil, see if you're paying attention. Where's this one pending?
I'm going to guess Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, gotta love the state of Texas, right?
Gotta love the state of Texas. So this case pending in Texas federal court is where a group of businesses are challenging this independent contractor rule. And there was oral argument last Friday on this, and the Department of Labor is arguing that the groups that have sued, the businesses that have sued, aren't actually harmed by this new rule, and that all of the allegations of harm that's going to be caused by this new rule are all speculative. And so that they're saying right now, the DOL argued last week that the alleged injuries are quote unquote purely hypothetical. And so they're trying to get enforcement of this rule upheld in court. Again, it'll be interesting to see whether this rule actually goes into effect or not. This case is sort of in a holding pattern in the appeals court right now, or in the court right now, and we'll have to see what the court ends up doing with this one.
All right. Well, where we have our friends to the south in Texas making a lot of noise. All right. Yeah. Let me guess, you probably have something that's making a lot of noise in Illinois as well.
Phil, you're clairvoyant this morning. It's amazing. Those cicadas are doing wonders for your brain. Yes, I want to give Illinois employers what might be a piece of good news. Yes, a piece of good news for Illinois employers, and that is that the Illinois General Assembly has passed a bill prohibiting claims for what are called per scan damages under Illinois' Biometric Information Privacy Act, otherwise known as BIPA. And this would legislatively overrule the Illinois Supreme Court's decision in Cawthorn versus White Castle Systems. So the Illinois legislature passed this bill to clarify that multiple alleged collections or disseminations of an individual's biometric data constitutes only a single violation of the Privacy Act, and the individual is limited to only one recovery of the statutory damages. This is a huge, huge decision for Illinois employers, because the way the Supreme Court interpreted the bill was to say that every single instance of the disclosure of an employee's biometric data, and think, Phil, of like a fingerprint scan or a retina scan for people who are entering the workplace every day or exiting the workplace, if they unlawfully disclose that information, the Supreme Court of Illinois has held that every single time the employer does that, it's a $1,000 to $5,000 penalty per scan.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Yes, and so this could be literally turn into catastrophic litigation for a company. If you think about it, if they have hundreds of employees and they do this, in the morning and in the afternoon, and they do this day after day, and it goes on for a couple of years, it could literally put the company out of business. And this has become a favorite area of class action for Illinois plaintiffs' attorneys over there. This law clarifies that employees would be entitled to only one recovery of between $1,000 and $5,000, and that If the disclosure is ongoing, that's just one offense. So
I wonder, Bert, not to cut you off there, but I wonder if like a facial scan would be considered, like a Face ID that you use on your computer. My computer has Face ID, it scans and it knows that that's me, and then it will unlock itself as an example. I wonder if that would qualify as biometric. Any idea?
I think that does qualify as biometric, but not within the purview of this law.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
Yep.
so this law does not apply to that. So this one is really going after employers, targeted toward employers who use biometric data in the workplace.
All right, very good. That's well, maybe some good news for our friends in Illinois, and we'll have our friends in the South keep up the activity down there, and maybe somewhere through there we can go out and make a buck in this process.
Perhaps.
The word BIPA, right? For the biometric, I'm going to start calling you the big BIPA. That's a good one, isn't it? You're going to be the big BIPA. It's just a fun thing to say.
It is an odd acronym, isn't it? BIPA.
It is. It is. All right. Well, there you have the fastest 6 minutes on the clock. Bert Garland from Ogletree Deacons. Thank you for that, Bert. Nick, I think you have a good segue to our topic with Heath on Filbert's Forum. So why don't we go ahead and row that?
You've just entered Filbert's Forum, where we peel the onion back and take a lighter look at the workplace. I do, because we're talking about teamwork today. And what we have on the screen here is just an example of working together as a team. You can accomplish anything. And we happen to have 6 guys got together, did all they could, and somehow flipped over this huge, giant excavator truck on its head. And congratulations to them. I'm sure that was the goal.
It looks like a cat in the background, and Cat's a member of ours, so I'm sure this is not part of their promotion as well. But I don't know if you've ever ridden in one of those, but they are massive. And it probably wouldn't be too hard to overturn in a quarry mine like that. But that's huge. That's good teamwork right there.
It is. I have not ridden in one, Phil, but I've been up against one. And you can kind of see it a little bit, I think, on this picture, if this is the right sized one. But there's literally a ladder to climb up from the ground to the front bumper, and then another ladder to climb up into the cab. These things are massive.
Yeah. I think about, I just need like a little step to get into my Jeep. I can't imagine having to climb that every day. All right, Nick, anything else?
Yes, we do. We have, what movie is this from, Phil?
Oh, that's got to be Bachelor. Is it Bachelor Party?
Is it Hangover?
Wedding Crashers. Hangover, that's it.
Hangover, not Bachelor Party. Hangover, that's it. Bert, well, look at you and I. Wedding Crashers, Bachelor Party. You can tell we're not the moviegoers here. But I will say I have seen this movie, and it is very funny.
All right, but this does kind of exemplify some teams that we experience at the workplace. We have one that does 99% of the work.
I would say that's kind of where I identify right there, Nick.
Okay, you identify there. Then we have
now we can pick which one of these is Heath and which one is Bert next. But
okay, so
I'll go ahead and I do 99% of the work here.
Okay, so if we look at says he is going to help, but he doesn't, maybe we should crown Heath with that because we haven't talked with him yet.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I'm happy to do the program. Yeah.
Disappears but shows back up to take credit.
Oh, now that definitely fits Bert Garland.
That's Bert. Yeah,
he's in and out. He's in. He always says he's in California. He hates California, but he's always in California. Isn't that
right.
Kind of an oxymoron there?
He does hate California.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that may leave me as having no idea what's going on or what day it is. So I'll wear that. That's fine.
All right. And the next one and last and final one here.
Causing much controversy on the show in the pre-production meeting is The Three Amigos, whether it's a good movie or not. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But everybody has a part, no matter the team. And one thing that we're talking about today is the stages of work. And we have actually used ChatGPT to help us identify which of the three amigos personify each the best. We have Dusty Bottoms as ideation, Lucky Day, played by Steve Martin, of course, as activation, and Ned Niederlander is implementation.
Oh,
There you have it.
Bert or Nick, I'm just surprised that you even remember their name. So that just tells me a lot. And I think this movie was playing for sure at the movie theater when I was an usher as a young teenager. And it's the first time I heard the word plethora. For
Plethora.
you and your, it's like the plethora. I think it's we have a plethora of something. I forget the exact line, but I remember. Okay, that's a good word. So Bert, that's a good segue, I think, right there, Nick. If we can move on to Heath, because those are titles, Heath, that I think you use in your program, understanding the genius of your team.
Yeah.
So good morning first, Heath, and welcome to the program. Let me give you a quick introduction to our audience. Heath is one of our senior trainers here at AIM. He does some coaching. He does a lot of training and supervisory development. He has been living in St. Louis now for how long, Heath?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years. So we brought him down from Minnesota. We're not letting him go back. We're happy to have him. But he does a fantastic job. And he was one of our breakout session leaders at our most recent leadership conference and got glowing remarks for this topic, the understanding the genius of your team. Heath, tell us a little bit about that topic. Why this topic? What's the background of this topic? And why do people usually tend to find that they're interested in how to help build the teamwork and why it's so popular?
Yeah. So it was a blast being able to be at the leadership conference and be part of all of that and do one of the breakout sessions. And yeah, I got tackled by Fred Bird and Louie when I was walking in. So I had that cool picture that was part of it before. But when I was there, I really enjoyed the chance to be able to talk about the working genius. It's not one of my products. It comes from Patrick Lengione, who does great work with teams and organizations in the table group, and really stems from him. When he was frustrated coming to work, he'd come to work grumpy, and there was one of the people on his team that's like, "Why are you like this?" And he's like, "I don't know. Can you help me out?" And so he was so frustrated himself with going to his own company. And they sat down, they kind of pounded out, okay, how does work happen? And work happens in these 6 stages, this wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. And then by going through those 6 things, they said, there are things that you can do that just light you up. And it looks like you're a genius. And sometimes we think invention is kind of like that, where, man, those people that come up with ideas, they must be a genius. But some of the people that have invention as a genius, the tenacity of actually finishing a job, that looks like a genius to them, because they've got half-done projects all over the place. And like, how do you finish anything? So bringing out the genius of a team is one of the parts that we talked about at that breakout session.
So when, first of all, I love it, right? Because at work, we're all doing, everything's about the performance of the overall team. And we work individually and we work as a team. But the best companies we ever work with are definitely building team-like environments. And I'm just going to go to our chat for a minute. One of our friends here, Michelle Weiss from the gun company, has made a comment here, and this will show you the genius of our team here at AIM, right? Michelle's part of our AIM group and family and roundtable participant. Bert, she had said that the BIPA equals Bert is a powerful attorney, right? So there's the genius of Michelle right there. So she was able to put that together. I would have not came up with something so kind, I think, Michelle, but that's definitely worth commenting on. But in the end,
Michelle, very nice of you.
Yeah, you're going to give him a big head, Michelle. Anyway, the idea that we're trying to build a team is exactly what every business is really hoping to achieve. So going about this, how does a company go about this? You have to take assessment, you come to your program, you learn about it. What's the right way to discovering the genius of your team?
There is an assessment. And it does help you narrow down what might be the thing that you do. But even learning more about the 6 stages, every job is a 6-letter job. You need to be able to do all these things to make anything happen. So being able to find joy and fulfillment in your job is really what the goal of Patrick had, when he was putting this together with his team, and kind of reducing that judgment and guilt that comes up for people. So I know that you guys talk a lot about culture and about retention, and both of those things are so key to being able to have the right people in the right seats, to have the people using their gifts and being able to thrive in what they do.
Do most of the organizations that partake in this activity, do they do it as a team themselves to understand the dynamic of a particular organization, or is it done as a group of individuals who don't work together, but then they take this genius back and apply it? What's the most effective way that you've seen it deployed?
Oh, it's very powerful when you do it as a team. And when you have a whole group of people that are working together trying to get projects done, and they get stuck different places, being able to see, oh, I see why we get stuck. We're kind of missing this part of the process, and you can map it all out so you can see everyone's different geniuses and how they fit together, and you can say, hey, if we're missing this, we know how to make sense of it. We can do something about it. We can shift things around. One other piece that's powerful is, and I talk about this even in our supervisor classes like I'm doing right now, is you can look at this process in meetings, because so often you go through a meeting and some people don't like meetings in general. But if you know the purpose of the meeting and you know what stage of work you are trying to work on in that meeting, that is helpful. So that when you're getting to the end and you're like, all right, everyone got your jobs, and you've got this one person that says, I wonder, is this really even a good idea? Should we be doing something else? You're like, hold on, that's not the stage of the work that we're in right now. You're going to cause a lot of frustration. So
Yeah, no, that's I can relate to some of that. I think I'm better on the idea side, wondering invention side than I am the discipline of deployment. But I know my team is excellent at deploying. I mean, you work every day with Matt Weidman and the work that he does with organizations to really do everything they can to make the program successful for the employer. Like, that really takes a lot of detail. You got to get to know the employer. You got to get to know who's going to be in the program, where we're going to have the program, the length of the program, all these little details that go into it that they bore me to death. And I just lose interest, but nevertheless, it does take every element of that. Does the program help you identify where we have gaps? Like, where we're missing one of the 6 elements?
absolutely. Yeah. When you look at a team, you can see where those gaps are. You can see how do we use the people that we do have to be most effective. And when you're looking at this, you can pair up these different geniuses in 15 different ways. And
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and find out, do you know what the best leader is? If you're looking at all these different combinations,
Hold on. That's a trick question, so I'm going to let my lawyer answer that, or tell me if I should sustain from answering that.
Abstain.
Abstain. Yeah, thank you. I'm abstaining. Thank you. Go on. Tell us what it is.
The best leader is a self-aware leader. So
Yeah.
I have talked to CEOs that are wonder invention. I have talked to CEOs that are enablement tenacity, and everywhere in between. But the best leaders are the ones that realize what their gifts are and what their team is and use them effectively.
I like that answer. Excellent. All right. So it takes how long approximately to do the assessment, and how long is this program if someone wanted to engage and work with you on this, Heath?
Yeah, it's about 12 minutes to take the assessment, so it doesn't take long. But then being able to sit down with the team, explain a little bit of the model, and then how your team can use it is about a half day to be able to kind of work through this and kind of dig into the details. So that's kind of what we're shooting for.
That sounds like a good time investment.
It does. Yeah, I mean, it seems like, particularly for, like you say, the best leader has to be self-aware. So if nothing else, my leaders need to know this so that, they have a chance at succeeding, but it makes better sense if everyone on the team is more self-aware. Nick, is there anything in the poll results that's worth visiting today?
Well, yeah, and what I'll do is I'll pull up when we were talking about the meetings. So which of the following is the most important for holding an effective meeting? Largely, our audience says clear objectives. And then
All right. Yep.
behind that is some of the right participants, effective facilitation, someone that's taking you through the meetings.
I would have said the right participants, right? Because I can have clear objectives, but the wrong participants. If I have the right participants, they'll make sure the objectives become clear. So it's just the way my brain kind of thinks is if I get the right people, they'll sort it out.
And I wonder if that is somehow related to, if we look at what stages of work get our audience most excited, we have ideation being the leading and then implementation behind that. And looks like we need to get some more activators in the audience.
So Heath, any takeaways on that? Is that a common view of the world from your experience with this program?
It is kind of common. Sometimes you think you come up with these great ideas and then you go make it happen. But one of the key pieces is right in the middle, discerning, is this a good idea? Like, should we actually invest our time in it? And then that galvanizing of getting people fired up. You need to rally the troops. You need to be the chief reminding officer, reminding everyone why they're there and what they're doing and why it's important. Yeah,
I think this happens to me all the time. I go away maybe for the weekend, or I take a couple extra days off like I did during the holiday, and I have an idea, right? And I think, man, this is a great idea. And I'm in my own thoughts, in my own head for a few days. And I come back to the office and I'm super stoked about this idea. I'm like, this is going to be the idea that, helps all of our members with, all their problems. And I'll come in and pull the team together and share the idea. And they all look at me like, are you crazy? Like, that is the worst idea we've ever heard. So I shamelessly walk away. But having, that stage is critically important, or else we would run everywhere and go nowhere with the ideas that I generate. So good stuff. All right. So there you go. The great topic of understanding the genius of your team. I love the title. I like that it's backed by Lencioni. I think it's going to be a really popular program based upon the feedback that we've had coming out of the leadership conference. Heath, I appreciate all the work that you do for our members and helping them be a better place to work and live. We appreciate that. Bert, as always, the big BIPA. Thanks for being back on the program. We will be back here next Thursday at 7:30. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your colleagues. Forward our invites. Share the link, aimea.org/This Week at Work, or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment. LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're everywhere you are. Don't forget, you can be part of the show. Send your questions and comments anytime to info@thisweek.work. We'll see you next week, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, when we discuss what's happening this week at work.